Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man.
But on top of that, he took my Winton. Took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me. Had me evicted from our house. Thrown out. All the businesses, all the money, the cars. At a moment when I was down and devastated, he maneuvered everything. He manipulated the courts, everything against me.
If y'all have been keeping up with Steve Harvey's messy love life, then you know he's been slammed multiple times by his ex-wife Mary for cheating on her with his current wife Marjorie. As expected, Steve denied all the allegations and even tried to make people think that Mary was just a bitter ex who was just salty that she got replaced. What makes this even more messed up is that Mary was with Steve before he got rich. She invested her own life savings into his career and even gave him the idea to open up the comedy club. However, after all that, he still cheated on her and dumped her as soon as he got famous. Well, Katt Williams just stepped into the chat and he pretty much just confirmed everything that Mary's been saying about Steve for years. He called Steve a fraud and accused him of dumping Mary and using her as a stepping stone to get to the top.
So you say to yourself, why would somebody intentionally go this far to hurt you?
So you were with him before any of this?
Yeah, with him, like as in the trunk of the car with him.
Wow. Wow.
I was that.
So, like I said, Steve doesn't have the best relationship with his ex-wife Marjorie Harvey, and Mary has been on a mission to expose Steve ever since their very messy divorce back in 2005. Mary accused Steve of being a serial, and after a very nasty court battle, he was ordered to pay her over $4,000 a month until March of 2009. Now, despite all the drama that came with the divorce, Mary was real hesitant about speaking out against Steve since they shared a son together. That was until 2017 when Steve got married. To Marjorie. The reason why this triggered Mary so much was because Marjorie was one of the women that Steve was cheating on Mary with when they were still together. In fact, Mary posted a whole YouTube video where she put Steve on blast and exposed some intimate letters and emails between Steve and Marjorie while he was still married to her.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it. He left. He just left, walked out the door.
And get this, Mary later revealed that Steve never actually finished paying up those $40K monthly checks and never paid for any child support at all. And as a result of him not paying up those $40K spousal support checks and not paying child support, she became severely broke and had to sell her house so she could support herself and their son went on.
At the end of the entire divorce, at the end of it, whenever it came about, which I don't know, because how do you go in there in 2005 and here you are in 09, 4 years later, I'm being put out of a home that was given to me as my sole separate property. So to me, when did the divorce stop? I don't even know when the divorce was official.
A separate property, a sole separate property that you were awarded.
Yes.
But you were taken out of that home.
And it was taken back to court. What I know is what happened realistically. This is what happened. I got 10 payments. I got $40,000 10 times. 10. The ranch property, our ranch that he calls his ranch, or wherever he goes to do the mentoring or whatever, that was our property, okay? I had to relinquish my half of that for less than what it was worth. So I literally sold him my half of the ranch for $1.5 million. That's what I did. And that's the only money that I walked away from 16 years of marriage. 10 payments at $40,000. So we're talking about $400,000. Then we're talking about a 1.9, which he didn't give to me. I sold him my half of our ranch for 1.5, way below what market was. That's what I got for my 16 years.
So no consistent alimony.
No. No child support. No.
And get this, Mary later revealed that Steve never actually finished paying up those $40K monthly checks and never paid for any child support at all. And as a result of him not paying up those 40K spousal support checks and not paying child support, she became severely broke and had to sell her house so she could support herself and their son, Wynel.
Before I forget, girl, I gotta ask you this, because this is practically in so many articles when Steve Harvey is speaking of motivation and all of this other stuff. Was Steve homeless? Was he homeless, sleeping in his car and all of this stuff?
Steve Harvey was never homeless a day in his life. Not one time. Because let's just add this up. Between your mama's house, Marsha's house, my apartment, and whatever you had purchased for Marjorie, what point in there would he have time to be homeless? Okay, the closest he ever came to homeless was when I think it was a year into our relationship, and he kept saying, I want you to go out on the road with me. I want you to go. And he wasn't making a lot of money, and all I had was what I was making from the store. So I said, I cannot just quit my job and go out there. So I guess it was about a year and a half later, I actually quit the job, and he was like, you gotta go, I need you out here. So there were nights when we had to get from like Dallas to Miami or whatever. Obviously you can't drive that in one sitting. So yeah, there were some times when we would pull over to a park or whatever. Steve was never homeless a day in his life. And all this People magazine, from homeless to a millionaire and all of that. No, he was never hungry. He might have been hungry, needing a sandwich, but nowhere near to not having no food, not having no home. I lived in the projects, never lived in the projects a day in his life. Okay.
But as I said before, people weren't really taking everything Mary was saying seriously because they thought she was just a bitter ex-wife who was still hung up on her ex-husband. However, Katt Williams just came out to show support for Mary and confirmed everything she's been saying for years. Now this whole thing gets even messier when you find out that Katt also put him on blast for being a fraud and copying other comedians in the game to get to where he's at in his career. He accused Steve of being jealous of the late Bernie match and claimed that Steve was against Bernie when he was alive. But as soon as he died, he stole Bernie's whole style. He also slammed Steve for stealing Mark Curry's jerks as well.